So after painting the body last week, that was set aside to cure for a while before I could start moving on with finishing that off. In the meantime, of course, I'm going to be moving on with some other parts. In this case, I'm going to start off with the interior. All the parts were cut out of the sprues, cleaned up a little bit where needed, and then some other parts were glued together and the seams were filled in and cleaned up. All the parts are now ready to go and moved into the primer stage. In the community section on YouTube, I asked you guys whether to go with a stock black interior or to go with a saddle tan brown interior. Turned out most of you actually wanted to see it in the saddle tan, and then I came to the conclusion that I was completely out of saddle tan. So I figured I'd settle with the closest match, and that turned out to be this brown from a Rally Ford Escort from back in the day. There is a nice big trim piece on the dashboard that is usually painted silver. I figured between silver or gold, gold would be a cool option to match with the stripes on the body, but it would also be a bit much, so I just settled with the regular silver. In order to replicate the carpet, I masked off the engine bay and also the rear parcel shelf, and that had a bit more detail in it that I didn't want to drown out with some of the spray paint. Painted some matte black on it. While the paint was still wet, I put the flocking on top of it, and that makes it stick very well and also blend in a lot nicer. A couple of small details all around were painted with a brush and some black paint just to give it a bit more contrast, like the shift boot, some of the plastics around the seats for the controls, and also a couple of parts on the door panels. Once those smaller black details were done, I could move on to adding some silver as well. So during the unboxing of the kit, I noticed on the decal sheet that there was a small decal for that centerpiece on the dashboard itself with all of the details on it. Turns out I completely forgot about it and started detailing it myself. And then imagine the look on my face when I noticed the decal. Once the decal was placed for all these buttons and details and formed to shape, it turns out that it was completely incorrect. Everything did not line up as the decal is a bit too long. Now, of course, I didn't know this up front, and I started forming the decal and therefore just making it pretty much useless and not fixable. So I removed it and just kept the details that I added myself earlier on. After adding the seatbelts in, I could move on to gluing everything together as all of the detailing had now been completed.